Meanwhile, in Zimbabwe, the devastation caused by drought is very severe. Authorities estimate that 77% of the country's corn production is destroyed and that nearly 8 million people will need immediate food aid until next year. To discuss the close links between food shortages and socio-political unrest, but also the means to increase production, our journalist Alexandra Vepierre met in Kigali the Senegalese agroeconomist Kumba Dieng Sow, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization representative and country director in Rwanda. Take a look.
Bonjour Kumba Sow.
Kumba Dieng Sow, hello. Coup d'etat in Gabon, Niger, Burkina Faso, armed conflicts in Sudan or the east of the DRC. What impact do political crises and conflicts have on food security?
Conflicts and wars obviously threaten food security in the world. This is one of the main causes of food insecurity across the globe. There are areas where severe, even acute food insecurity has been apparent for some years, even decades. We can talk about the Sahel, the Litako-Gurma countries, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, but also the northeast of Nigeria, which for several years now has been in a conflict that shows that we have a situation of food insecurity that is steadily increasing. The link between food insecurity and conflict is something that the FAO has been working on for several years. Since 2015, we have been authorized by the United Nations Security Council to hold a session every 6 months. The last session just finished a few days ago, and we can now present the results on food insecurity. I mean, the data we have extracted from our analysis of the various countries in crisis. So we should not oversimplify by saying that because of conflict there is food insecurity. However, we need to be aware that food insecurity can trigger conflicts. We have seen several of them, such as the hunger riots in 2008. For example, we saw the Arab Spring, which began with the price of bread. So these links are being carefully examined, and we monitor these debates daily to provide the correct responses for the populations that are the most affected and the most vulnerable.
To improve yields, how much should be reserved for agroecology and how much for improved seeds? Can the two coexist in Africa?
Agroecology and biotechnology can obviously go hand in hand. There is no conflict between the two. The most important thing today is to realize that nearly 800 million people in the world are hungry. And these 800 million people are hungry because of the effects of climate change and the conflicts we have just been talking about. But how can the impact of climate change be mitigated? How can producers adapt? There are two ways. There are the agroecological means, which are ancestral formulas that people have always used to adapt. And then there's what's known as improved seeds, which are sometimes used because the rains are becoming irregular due to climate change or because the rainy seasons are getting shorter. We can have varieties that allow us to produce much faster without impacting the environment or human health. The FAO's role is to ensure that when we talk about improved seeds and biotechnologies, we are always in phase with respect for the environment and human health, because human health goes hand in hand with food safety.
The connection between food security and water is now more crucial than ever. 2018, you were involved in the significant FAO initiative, the 1 million tanks for the Sahel. What is the initial assessment of this impactful initiative?
So the Sahel remains one of the most vulnerable regions in the world, and its vulnerability also stems from climate change and water scarcity. That's why we created the 1 million tanks for the Sahel program. And by the end of the first year, we had already reached 20,000 women with direct access to water. For us, it's important to continue this type of program. It's not the only one. There are others like Savadogo, who in Burkina Faso accelerated the use of an ancestral technique called Zai, which retains water for agricultural production. We're promoting several techniques and practices that enable water to be conserved and collected in the first place. That's the first thing, to preserve it and then to be able to reuse it for drinking, because women travel dozens of kilometers to find water, bring it back, take it home, and for cooking. So with these programs, we are ensuring that women's work hardships are reduced. They have water for drinking and cooking, but they also have a surplus that they can use to produce. We've been to regions of the Sahel where agricultural production was zero precisely because there was no water. Whenever there was water, it was for direct consumption. But thanks to the project, 1 million tanks for the Sahel, women have been able to start gardening to produce vegetables that children can eat, thereby improving their nutrition.
consommer et améliorer ainsi leur nutrition.